Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. Virtual high five to you. And this is the best place to get the tools and resources you need to build a life and business you love simply because you can. Yes, you can do it. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to choose the right coach or mentor for your business. I know. You may be thinking, okay, with all of this, variety, plethora of coaches out there, everyone's trying to sell you something, teach you something. How do I know which one to pick? Which one is best for me? Number one, the first tip I'm going to give you is you need to first of all identify the phase that you are in business. Point number one, are you just starting out in business? It doesn't make any sense for you who's just starting out in business to go hire a coach who is making 8 figures, 7, 8 figures. Chances are the strategies they are implementing now in their business may not be relevant to you at the phase that you are. It's not that the strategies don't work. It's just that it is the strategies for the wrong phase of business that you're in. If you're just starting out, it makes sense for you to look for a coach who is maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, okay? 2 or 3 steps ahead of you that can show you, okay, this is how I did it, because the strategies is still very fresh in their minds, right? These are the steps that I took to get the results. Now, come with me. Let me hold your hand and I'll get you those same results as well. Someone who's already doing 8 figures in their business most likely does not really remember all the steps that it took them to get to where they are now. And even if they do, chances are those strategies may not be relevant in today's market, in today's world, in today's economy, or how things work in general. So point number one, you need to identify and be very sure of the phase that you're in and look for a coach that is at least 2-3 steps ahead of you. That's point number one. Now, point number two that I'm going to share with you, you also need to find out if their values align with your values. For example, I am a coach that will always infuse biblical principles in my coaching sessions. I am not a coach for everybody, and I may not be a coach for you because you may not be comfortable with that style of coaching, and that's absolutely fine. There are people who do not do that, and they may be a better fit for you. And there are people who are actually looking for coaches who will infuse biblical principles in their coaching to reiterate or solidify the point that they're trying to make. I will be a coach for those kind of people. So you need to find out, point number two, do my values align? How do you identify that? You need to first of all sit down and write what your values are. What are the things, what are your no-nos and what are your, yes, hell yes, values that you're looking for in a coach that will help you align with that coach better. It is very important that you do this so that you don't have a mismatch in personalities and values when you finally get working together, because once money exchanges hands, it's always difficult to get it back. So it's absolutely important that you do your due diligence before you hire a coach to know if their values align with yours. Point number three, you need to also find out how long have they been in business. And this is from the angle, this is what I mean by that. It doesn't really matter if a coach has been in business for 1 week. That doesn't mean they can't get you results, because they absolutely can. But in my case, when I first got started in business, I hired a coach because I was so naive and dumb at the time, right? I just saw this advert and I was like, oh yeah, I started my business a year ago and now I make $1 million. Do people do that? Absolutely, yes, people can do that, right? But what they're not telling you is there is a lot of resources that goes under. So for example, and a lot of other things underneath that they're not sharing with you in that moment. So I went in so naive and stupid to say, oh yeah, I'm just gonna hire this coach and I'm gonna get I'm gonna make $1 million in a year because they did it. Now, what they didn't tell me at the time was I'm a mom and I've got 3 children and a whole husband to manage. This person I was hiring was single, right? Single, so they had more time on their hands than I did. Point number one. Point number two, they had been doing this on the ground low key for like 10 years, right? Before they finally blew up. And that's the part that they don't really highlight, because the other part of the story is not so sexy, right? The making $1 million in a year is a sexy part, and that's what we all want to hear. But the truth is, it is sometimes very, very beneficial for you to actually dig deeper and look at the not so sexy parts of the story before you commit or invest to something, right? Because in my case, what that did for me was after a year, no $1 million in the bank. Hello. I was like, okay, these strategies don't work. I give up. I quit because it didn't happen in that time frame. And that's dangerous because you are giving up too early. Now, I know it is a responsibility for us coaches to make sure that we set the right expectations to our clients. But on the other side, as a client, you want to do your due diligence. One of the secret ninja tests that I do is whenever I see a coach saying, oh, I made $1 million in a year or in 2 years or whatever, I go to their YouTube page, their Facebook pages if they have one, and I look at the date when they created that page. In the case of this coach, they created that page 8 years ago. Now, I'm not saying their business had been thriving 8 years ago, no, but there's something that I learned. There's longevity. They have been at this thing for a long time. And that is why now they can come back. Yes, maybe they had a break and then came back to business and they made $1 million in 2 years. They can do that because they have that experience from all the times they failed to power up this new launch that they did that got them that $1 million, right? They have all of those experiences over time to power up this launch that they did. They already knew what to do, what not to do to power it up, right? So when they give you these strategies, because at the end of the day, and this is I don't know, coaches don't come for me, right? You need to be, at the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a client to get the results, implementing the strategies. And you might implement a strategy and it may not work for you right away. That's the truth. It doesn't mean the strategy doesn't work, but it may not work for you right away. You may need to tweak it more, give it, tweak it here and there, give it time to let things naturally progress before you see the results. So you want to make sure that you check on these things before you throw in the towel and just quit, because chances are you may not get the same result as that coach becoming a millionaire in 1 year. Some people are lucky it happens for them that way. Like I said, in my case, I'm a mom, I've got 3 kids. I don't have the same capacity for time like a single lady would, right? A single lady can decide, I'm going to record a video every day, right? I literally have to wait for my kids to either go to bed, go to school, so the house can be quiet before I can record a video. So you see why I say it is absolutely crucial that you do not compare yourselves and look at your circumstances and say, okay, is it really realistic for me to put in this amount of work to get the results? Because at the end of the day, you have to do the work. There's no magic pill, nothing. You have to do the work to get the results. And my last tip that I'm going to give you to make sure that you're hiring the right coach is you also need to write down realistically, what is the time frame that you are giving yourself? It doesn't matter what the coach says. They can say, okay, you're going to make $1 million in 1 year. Fine, right? You have to give yourself a more realistic timeline, because at the end of the day, most of those things are plainly marketing ploys. And like I said before, they may have been doing this for a very long time under the scenes, in the trenches, the part that we don't see. Remember, we only see the results, right? They may have been at this for a very, very long time, because at the end of the day, consistency over time will always trump intensity, right? You can start go. You will get tired and you will burn out. So you need to set realistic expectations for yourself. How long am I willing to dedicate to this project till I get the results? In my case, when I went through the whole phase of, I didn't make $1 million in a year, blah, blah, I quit and I came back, because for me, it is more than just a business. It's a calling for me to teach, to inspire, to hold people by the hand and show them that there's a better life, out of the rat race, right? So when I went through all that phase and came back to reality, so okay, now I get it. I set a realistic timeline, 5 years. I'm giving myself 5 years of putting in consistent work to get the results. Implementing the strategies I'm learning from my coaches as well. If it happens in 2 years, will I say, no, I don't want the money because it happened in 2 years? Hell no. I'm going to say, yeah. I'm going to yeah. Come on, money. I need a lot of you, right? But in my mind, if it doesn't happen in 2 years, I'm cool with that too, because in my mind, I have set a very realistic expectation, a 5-year timeline to accomplish what I'm trying to do, because I have to work at a pace whereby I'm also looking out for my family. my home front is not lacking. I'm looking after myself, my well-being, my health. I'm not sacrificing the things that matter to me for money, right? That is why I gave myself that realistic time frame. So it is absolutely crucial that you give yourself a realistic time frame before you go hire a coach. So point number 1, 2, 3, 4, right there for you. Now, before you go, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for, family? Subscribe and let me know in the comments which of these tips will you be implementing, or have you implemented, or do you have any more tips for me to add to the list? Let me know in the comments below. I would like to continue that conversation with you, and I'll see you in the next video.